Hi, this is Trey Passer, and this is my video response to Robyn176's top 10 TV shows. Okay, this is the second attempt to do this. I did it last night, and of course, the audio didn't record, so boo to you, my camera. Okay, but now I'm going basic. Okay, this is my undershirt look. Normally, I try to either have a dress shirt on or either one of my amazing, Giants championship T-shirt or my Mets shirt or something else, but I decided to go basic, and this is my get ready to go to bed look. Okay, so it's basic, but you're a good friend, Robyn, so I decided to let you see the unvarnished Trey Passer. Okay, again, thank you again for coming up with another great subject, and top 10 TV shows. I like TV as well as movies, so this is my top 10. Well, not necessarily top 10, but my 10 TV shows that I really, really like. Okay, I'm going to do the TV shows I don't have. I have 5 over here that I have physically here, and I'll do 5 that I don't have physically here. Okay, I'll do the ones that I don't have physically here. I wrote them down. Okay, another one that is a TV show called The Monsters. I don't know if you were too young when it came out, obviously, Robyn, but this TV show was basically a comedy about the old Universal horror movie Monsters. It was a family, basically like a basically suburban family. There was they lived in the suburbs, but they lived in it. Since they were monsters, but they call them monsters, pronounced M-U-N-S-T-E-R-S instead of monsters. But they were actually the head of the family was Herman Monster, which was the Frankenstein monster, of course, played by Fred Gwynn, and he was, like I said, he was a monster. He was 7 feet tall with the bolts to the neck and everything, the flat head and everything else. Then you had his wife Lily, who he was married to, who was a vampiress, I guess you would call a female vampire. And then they lived with their father lived with him, and his name was Grandpa. They called him Grandpa Monster. And he was played by Al Lewis, and he was the older vampire. Okay, and him and Herman were best buds. They were getting into wacky schemes and stuff. And then of course there was the son, played by Butch Patrick, who was named Eddie Monster, who was a young werewolf, I guess you could say. And then you also had the ugly duckling of the family, a Marilyn Monster, who was actually absolutely gorgeous. Okay. But the basic story premise of this, like I said, was a comedy, and they were like a typical, normal all-American family, except that they were monsters. And what I loved about this TV show was the reaction that everybody else had to them. And there were so many great moments when people actually saw Herman Monster for the first time, where they would just absolutely flip out and then run. Some would just run through the doors. Some would just do these backward flips. I think there was even one episode where the guy was in a wheelchair, and he saw Herman, and he just got up out of the wheelchair and started running down the street, and just they sped it up and showed it in fast motion, and it was the most hilarious thing ever. And like I said, it was a comedy show, and like I said, and Herman, I'm trying to think of his job. He worked in a funeral home. That's what his job was. He worked in a funeral home, which made sense for this TV show. Okay, and the grandpa, like I said, he was a vampire, but he would come up with all these wacky schemes. They had a dungeon. They had like a laboratory down in the basement. Or as they called it, the dungeon. And also, I forgot one other thing they had. Underneath the steps, they had a pet named Spot, who was actually, I believe, Spot was some kind of dinosaur, because a fire-breathing. No, he was a dragon. Excuse me, a fire-breathing dragon. Because every once in a while, they would show you. They would lift up the staircase, and then underneath it, all you would see is the eyes and the roar, and then you see the fire shoot out, and Spot was great. Okay, and it's definitely a TV show that I think probably is on DVD, and I definitely should be getting that. I don't have that. But okay, and another TV show, another one of my favorite came out back in I guess it was the late 80s, I think, or mid 80s. I'm not sure exactly, but I think it came out in the 80s. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me about this. But the A-Team, I know you probably might have seen the movie The A-Team, the one with Liam Neeson and I forget the other people that were in it. But but there was an actual TV show that it was based on. It starred George Papard, Mr. T, Dirk Benedict, and Dwight Schultz. And like I said in the movie, it's about 4 buddies that were in the army together, I believe special forces, and they were framed, and of course they escaped, and they would help people. They would live in Los Angeles, and they would help people basically as a, I'm trying to think, I was going to say it was a Robin Hood type thing, but it wasn't Robin Hood type thing. They were, people would hire them to right a wrong, basically. That's what and the great thing about the show, like I said, you had George Papard, who played Hannibal, who came up with the plans. Then you had Dirk Benedict, who played Face, who was like the con man who would get, if the team needed something, he would, dress up and charm the people or whatever. That's why he was called Face. And then you had, B.A. Baracus, who was the tough guy of the group, who was, he could drive, he did the vehicle stuff, and he would build all the wacky stuff that they would need to, they needed something, a special design of a weapon and stuff, he would design it. And then you had Howling Mad Murdoch, played by Dwight Schultz, who was the pilot of the group, and he was supposedly crazy. And it was, what I loved about this TV show was that every week, they would shoot automatic weapons at people, which was, I thought, at whatever villain that they were against that week, there would be a car chase, and of course they would pull out automatic weapons, and there'd be these big elaborate shootouts, but of course nobody would ever get shot. And I absolutely loved that. It was absolutely, kind of funny that everybody would be doing these great, incredible shootouts, but nobody would ever get hurt. And it was just a great show. Like I said, George Papard was just fantastic in it. And Mr. T, all 4 of them actors worked really great on that show together. And I think it lasted about 5 or 6 seasons, I think. I'm not sure about exactly how long it lasted, but it was fantastic to me. Okay, and another TV show that I liked was an old classic, the original Star Trek, the one with William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and DeForest Kelley. Like I said, when this actually came out, I think I was about 2 years old or something, 2 or 3, when Star Trek, I think, came out. And anyway, but the original Star Trek TV show, it only lasted 3 seasons, but it was absolutely fantastic to me. I used to always see it in reruns on our independent station here in New York, on Channel 11, and it was just a fantastic TV show to me. Kirk, with the, William Shatner with the bad acting, but I don't. When I watched it, everybody, there didn't appear to be any bad acting. I know, sure, he exaggerates certain things, but I loved William Shatner in this TV show. He was Kirk was everything cool that you would want to be in a captain. He was brave, fearless, and he always got the hot babes. So what more could you want? And then he had, you had Spock, who was this great emotionless character, who was, Vulcan had the great ears, and the science officer, and Kirk's #1 man, and it was just, Kirk, and Spock was cool too. And of course, then you had Bones, the medical doctor, who was, also a confidant of Captain Kirk, and he was, how Spock was unemotional, he was emotional, and those 3 played off each other so well. And like I said, plus they had these great themes and stuff, great stories they had on Star Trek. And I remember particularly the one where they went back, where Kirk and Spock and I think I'm trying to remember the premise of this, but somehow when they were visiting a planet, I think he got infected. Bones got infected, and he went in a transporter and actually went back in time. No, it was on a planet, and that had some kind of weird time warp thing, and Bones had got infected, and he went back in time, and somehow he changed the past, and Kirk and Spock went after him, and they found out somehow that, and I think the special guest star was Joan Collins in this episode, and she they found out that because of her, because Bones saved her life, it changed the whole fate of the world. Everything, all these climatic events, and they had to basically stop Bones from saving her, because it would just change the whole world. Like, I think a certain war, the United States would get involved in a certain war, and then it just changed the whole history. And I think even the Federation it didn't get created because of the actions of this woman that she disrupted history, and she was meant to. Well, I guess this is a spoiler. She was meant to die, and but you know, Kurt of course fell in love with her, and it was a fantastic episode, well written and acted and everything else. Okay, and I'm rambling. Okay, so let me so this video doesn't go on forever. Okay, that was I did 18, Star Trek, The Monsters. Okay, okay, and another TV show that I don't have is it's a British TV show actually, called Luther, and starring, I'm gonna see if I pronounce this guy's name right, Idris Elba, who was on The Wire, and he's just a fantastic British actor, you know, black gentleman, of course. And but I remember seeing, I'm trying to remember when I first saw Luther. I think I saw it. I think it was. I think I saw highlights on YouTube or something of it. And anyway, I got to download the episodes, and I actually watched it. And it was just a fantastic TV show about this cop that was supposed to be out of control. And the great thing I love about British TV show series, that they don't last that long, but you know, they should, I think sometimes they're like 5 or 6 episodes, depending on these special series. They're not that long, but the writing for them, the acting is just absolutely fantastic. And Luther really captured my imagination, because he was, like I said, this out of control cop who had an you know, he was estranged from his wife, and of course he was a brilliant detective who would solve all these. He had all these serial murder cases that he would solve, and Idris Elba was absolutely fantastic as Luther. And I think they did 2 seasons of it so far, and I think they're supposed to do a 3rd one. But the first season to me was the best, the one with, because they had a particular character called Alice on it. I'm trying to think, was it her name? Alice? I think Alice was her name. I forget the actress's name, and I apologize for that. But I think you can look it up if you just Google Luther and stuff. You can look up her name. And she was a great foil for this detective, because she was certifiably insane, and obviously killed her, you know, and Luther, you know, she was one of the cases that he was working on, and throughout, and then she actually came back through the later episodes to actually help him and be sort of like a sounding board for his character. But Luther was a fantastic TV show, which I absolutely loved. So I would say recommend definitely getting that one. Like I said, the first season was the best. The second season was okay, but it didn't have enough Alice in it for me. But the second season was pretty good too. Now I'm going to go to shows that I have right now, and I think that was only 4. But so this video may not be 10, and maybe 9. Okay, so let me go through these real quick so this video doesn't last forever in a day. Okay, okay, this next TV show only lasts 3 seasons, and starred Kristen Bell, and it was on I believe, I'm trying to think what show it was on network. It was on CW, I think, in New York. First, that's what it was on first. Then I think it got moved to I9, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, what I'm talking about is Veronica Mars. This was a great TV show about Veronica Mars. She was a high school student, and her father played by this guy right there. The first season was a great mystery about who killed Veronica Mars' best friend. Her name was Lily Kane, and basically her father was a sheriff in this town called Neptune in California, and basically the father got ran off the job because this murder happened on his job, and some rich, powerful people made sure that he got voted out of office. Okay, and the whole season, the first season, was about Veronica Mars, trying to find out who killed her friend Lily Kane. And like I said, Kristen Bell was absolutely perfect as Veronica Mars. And of course, they had, you know, her best friend, which I can't remember his name. You had Duncan. You had all these different crazy characters on this show, but the basic show was her helping her father solve, whatever crime or something. And she also was, like I said, a private detective. People would come to her friends. She would help her friends. She was really, really smart and sarcastic and really good at her job and stuff. And it was just a great TV show. Like I said, it got canceled ahead of its time because I think I heard through the last, after the 3rd season, when they were trying to extend life onto the series, they were going to actually have Kristen Bell become a FBI profiler, but it got canceled before it did. But it was still a great TV show, and highly recommend getting. And you see, this says $48.99. I did a video on this when I got this, when I did my pickups. This was on sale in Best Buy. This one and the other 2 seasons for $9.99. So I had to get it because this was just one of my favorite TV shows, Veronica Mars, and I highly would recommend that. And the next show is an old show, came out in the 60s, superhero show. You know, I'm a sucker for superhero shows. But this was a sort of a campy, the original campy show, but I still loved it anyway. This is the Batman. I got this at a convention. This is a complete series, 7-disc set. And this is a show that came out in the 60s. I'm sure you've heard of it. You know, where Batman and Robin, and every week they had a villain of the week played by these famous actors. You had Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. You had Cesar Romero as the Joker. You had Vincent Price as Egghead. You had Frank Gorshin as the Riddler. You just had so many famous stars on the show. And the great thing was about the show to me was Adam West and Burt Ward, who played Batman and Robin. They played it totally serious with bad puns and everything else. And I love the fighting that went on there. That they saw the every time they do the fights, the bing bang pow smash crash. It was just absolutely fantastic. I loved when they got ready to fight. That was just one of my favorite highlights of the show, when Batman and Robin would get, you know, they would confront the villain at the end, and they get ready to have this fight. You know, they have the slugfest where Batman and Robin just beats the crap out of people, and I absolutely loved it. And later they added Batgirl on, played by Veronica, who was absolutely totally hot. So that, and I know this is a totally superficial reason, but she was good. And like I said, it was one of the great TV shows. And I absolutely loved it. And I also loved when Batman and Robin would never really get caught, and then they would have to figure out a way to get out of whatever predicament they were in. And of course, the announcer who came on saying, "Same bat time, same bat channel." I love that. So that's why I got that. And of course, my next TV show is I'm gonna go with the original, called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Originally, this was a movie done with starring Christy Swanson. That was sort of I think Luke Perry was in it, and it was sort of a campy, you know, more comedy than anything else. And then they decided to do a TV show, and I'll tell you, this TV show was absolutely fantastic. Veronica Mars, Vampire Slayer, just basically about a young high school student who got to be, you know, she came to know as being the chosen one, you know, a vampire slayer, and she would have to kill these, you know, kill vampires, and also she fought other things besides vampires. She fought demons, werewolves, all these supernatural things, and Sarah Michelle Gellar was absolutely fantastic as Buffy. And just what more can you say? This show was just, it lasted, I think, about 7 seasons. You had all kinds of weird things, and the great thing about the show, they had every season, I think they had like a big bad villain that would last, a story arc that would last throughout the year. And basically, you had all these little incidents that would happen around it. And like I said, Buffy was just a fantastic show. Definitely one of the top sci-fi shows of all time to me. And like I said, Josh Whedon, who's doing the Avengers movie, wrote and created it, and did the same thing with Buffy. So absolutely fantastic. I would definitely highly recommend this. One of the great female shows of all time. Well, you know, starring female. I mean, that's what I meant. But absolutely fantastic. Okay, and a show that came as a spinoff from that show was another fantastic show. One of my top TV shows of all time is Angel. Okay, Angel, played by David Boreanaz, who was the angel, was the vampire with a soul, and basically his story was that he was like a lazy, you know, first he was on the Buffy TV show, and he was like a spinoff. He was like a side character, and then of course he became, you know, would show up every once in a while and help Buffy, and then him and Buffy got together, and then there was a curse put on him because he was a lazy, good for nothing person back in the 1700s or whatever, when he was first born, you know, when he first lived, and then he got turned to a vampire. He was evil. He was going around destroying, you know, biting people and being reckless. He even killed his own family. And then he had a curse put on him that the minute he would I'm saying the exact terms of the curse was the minute he would find happiness, he would lose his soul. I think that's what it was. They called him a vampire with a soul because, you know, he regretted what he was after, you know, I'm trying to think of the moment that I can't think of it off the top of my head, where he actually, after he got turned, where he actually he started hating what he was and stuff, but there was still a curse put on him from his prior acts that whenever he found happiness, that he would lose his soul and just revert to being evil again. And of course, that's where he turned on the Buffy vampire season show. He turned evil and actually got sent to hell by Buffy, and then he returned, of course, and then he got his own show, and they moved him out of Sunnydale. He moved to California and became became basically a private detective. He would help people and stuff, you know. And he had his sidekicks. He had Cordelia, who was on Buffy also, and he had Gunn. He had not Giles. I'm trying to think the other. I can't think of the other people that was with him. He had Gunn. I know he had Giles. He had Fred, and I can't think of the other guy, the other Watcher that was with him, which I can't. It's Wesley. Okay, Wesley. That was his name. And this TV show to me was so good. It only lasted 5 seasons, but to me it easily could have lasted 10. David Boreanaz was great as Angel, and the stories were fantastic on this. This is one of the most well-written shows of all time to me, and definitely a must pick up. This TV show, I saw it on eBay, and I had to get it because this TV show to me was just one of the best things ever going, and definitely worth getting if you get a chance. Definitely pick this, The Angel. And if I had a choice between the Buffy and the Angel TV show, I would get Angel first. If I have both of them, but if I'm advising anybody else that I mean, maybe you want to get Buffy just to then you would know about Angel, but Angel to me was just it got so much better as it went along, and I hate it when they cancel it because it definitely deserved to be on. To me, another 5 years easy. David Boreanaz was great in this, and I love the whole premise of it was just fantastic. Okay, and now one of my favorite shows that's on now, and it's on Fox. And it's been on for like 4 seasons. It's on its 4th season right now, and they're having a break right now before before the conclusion of this 4th season. But it's one of my favorite TV shows currently that's on right now. It's called Fringe, and I've talked about this before in other videos and stuff. Fringe is basically sort of like the X-Files in a way. It's about a scientist played Walter Bishop, played by John Noble, and his son Peter Bishop, played by Joshua Jackson, and Olivia Dunham, who is played by oh, jeez, I can't what's that? I couldn't try because she has a weird name. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but I know a character is Olivia Dunham, and basically it's about the scientist Walter Bishop, son Peter Bishop. And to get into the explanation of exactly all the relationships would be kind of complicated and trying to be drawn out. But basically this shows you have alternate worlds, you have doubles of people on other worlds, you have all these weird scientific things that are happening. That's why I say it's sort of like the X-Files. They investigate all these weird goings-on that happens with people. You have time travel, you have people seeing the future. Like I said, you have alternate Earths. You have characters called the Observers that watch all history play out. It's a show. You just have to see it to get into it. But it's so easy to get into, and once you know all the relationships and stuff, and you start watching it, this is one of the most well-written shows, and just the premise of it is just fantastic. And absolutely, I would highly recommend getting this. It's just a fantastic show and easy to get into. Once you start getting into it, you'll be hooked. Trust me. And another thing I'm going to say, it's on Fox, which is always in danger, of course, of getting canceled. But hopefully it won't get canceled. Like I said, it's on its 4th season. I'm praying that they renew it and it lasts another season because this show is fantastic. And now that I think about it, I do have one more movie that's over there that I'm going to get. And excuse me for a minute. Okay, excuse me, in front of the camera again. This TV show was on Fox again, and like I said, Fox has a history of canceling great TV shows, and this TV show only lasted 2 seasons on Fox, and it was just a shame that they canceled it before ahead of its time. This is another TV show I think could have lasted easy 6 to 7 years easy, but like I said, being on Fox, they cancel great shows for which really pisses me off, but it is what it is. Now this TV show, I'm a big Terminator fan, as people can see, and but this TV show was based on the movies and stuff, and this is called the Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Okay, starring Lena Headey, Summer Glau and Thomas Dekker. And basically the story is about Sarah Connor. It's basically supposed to be about her story, about her training her son, John Connor, who's the future leader of the resistance, okay, and the Terminator that gets sent back in time to protect them, protect John Connor and all the people that, and this basically is their story about her, them living, trying to protect, actually in this show they actually go, I think they go forward into the future, actually a few years, and this is basically the story about them trying to keep John Connor alive and stuff, and this was one of the most well-written shows, and the direction and everything else was good. The action was cool. Summer Glau was totally kick-ass, and Lena Headey totally kicked ass, and Thomas Dekker was good too. And this show it only lasted 2 seasons, but it easily could have lasted more, and I absolutely loved this show. And I have to get the complete show on Blu-ray. I'm gonna get that one day, but I had got this on DVD, but I have to get the complete show on Blu-ray. It's just one of these shows that I absolutely hate that they cancel it, but what more can you say? That's it's a Terminator. You got Terminators, you got kick-ass women, and what more can you need? This show easily should have lasted 5-6 seasons easily, and I'm pissed off that they canceled it. I'm really, really pissed off at Fox for canceling this. So that's my list, and I'm sorry this video is almost going 26 minutes. I didn't mean to do that, but I got to rambling, so there you go. Hopefully it recorded everything. So again, thank you, Robyn176, for coming up with this great premise, and I'm going to leave a link to your channel down below so people can sub to you. So please sub to her channel. Great, she does great videos and has great subjects on it. She doesn't have many videos, but she's a great fellow YouTuber, and I love chatting with her, like she says, off the camera. So this is Trey Patcher saying so long and take care.